What are your biggest weaknesses?
Your
Your areas of improvement. I just care too much.
I care too much. I work too hard.
I work too
I'm
hard.
too committed.
I put my work above everything else.
Whoa.
Yeah, hey, yeah, we.
Well, that was the first recorded sound, is me saying hello.
It is the first recorded sound, but yeah, let's do this. Welcome to Epic Screen Time, where we talk about random things because we're just neighbors and friends, and we do whatever the hell we want. So today our drink is Mash and Mellow S'mores Whiskey. So I've tried it before, so I thought we'd let y'all give it a little bit of a try this morning. It is morning, so nothing hard, nothing crazy. And while y'all are trying that, you guys can look onto the screen and see our logo.
That's cool.
Yeah. So
Oh, that's really
That
cool.
is
I see.
sick.
I see what you did.
I see what
yeah,
you
yeah,
did.
yeah. See, I got us all in there. Looks good. I thought I'd get everybody all set up.
Smooth. For the record, it is 10:30 in the morning, and I am
But it
chasing
was
this
a
with
little-
my protein shake.
It was a little sip. I thought about making mimosas, but I was like, you know what? We'll just
No,
do
I
a little
appreciate
sip.
that.
We'll do a little sip. So, but yeah. So that is our logo.
Dude, that is sick.
Yeah.
That is sick.
I thought it turned out really well.
You did good.
Thanks, man. I did not make this. I should
Oh,
be
okay.
abundantly clear that I paid someone off Fiverr.
Well, whoever made
to
it
make this.
did a wonderful job.
So
Yeah.
Lily Design off Fiverr. You did a great job.
Great job.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into this. So today's the first one, and the first one is we're going to talk about Destiny because that is Sam's favorite game.
Not favorite, but it's up there. Probably favorite of the year, I would say.
Game of the year.
Well, I don't know if I would say it's the game of the year. Probably my favorite.
What
game
you've been
of the year.
enjoying.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
So as we kick this off, we are okay. We should actually, you know what? We should probably introduce everybody. I'm
Yeah.
Garrett.
I'm Sam.
I'm Carter.
Yeah, and we're just three friends and neighbors, and thought we'd do some
And
random
gamers,
stuff. Yeah, yeah.
most importantly.
We play a lot of games, watch a lot of
Yes.
movies, watch a lot of TVs, so that's what we're here
Yes.
for. But we typically will play games, and Sam's very like every time I see Sam online, he's playing Destiny, and I have
committed.
opinions,
Committed to the cause.
and so I figured we'd start with this one. And so Sam, real quick,
Mm-hmm.
give me the shortest but most complete storyline of Destiny.
Oh, I can't do that.
All right, give me something to
I'll
at least
give
catch
you-
people up to
yeah.
what the final chapter is.
Well, just kind of like the little summary or spark notes as far as why this state of the game is so important is that essentially this is kind of the end game of Destiny, so to say. Like everything that they've been teasing lore-wise and expansion-wise has led up to this final expansion, hence the final shape is the name. So for a lot of like dedicated fans, just to give like everybody some context, I wouldn't say I'm like the most dedicated Destiny fan. I played the first one a lot and enjoyed it. I played Destiny 2 kind of when it just came out. I stepped away. I played a lot of the Witch Queen, and then I played Lightfall, which is the second most recent expansion, and now the final shape. And so the final shape is just kind of, we've known about this big bad, kind of the easy comparison is to Thanos, who is the Witness is his name. We've known about him for a while. And this is the final expansion where you fight him and hopefully take him down and kind of save the world. So that's why, the quick summary of why you should care about this most recent expansion.
To talk about the amount of time we put into this, I went and looked up my Destiny 1 playtime, my Destiny 2 playtime on Xbox and PC. I have 10 days of game time on Destiny 1.
So 240 hours?
10 days and 6 hours.
Okay.
And then I have a day and a half on Destiny 2 on Xbox, and then I have 15 hours on PC. And that was before we
Yeah.
played the other night.
I didn't
So-
realize you played the first one that much.
Oh, dude, I can tell you, Jordan Rogers, if you listen to this, he and I played this in
Okay.
the barracks during comm school in the Marines when it first came out. We played the demo together. We sat next to each other, played the game together,
That's sick.
like in the same bunk beds. Like, we played. That's all we did after class was just play Destiny 1. So, so there's a story that but yeah, there's basically what's going on. So my question is, what in the story has kept you guys playing for years? Because like Carter, you're a big fan as well. Whereas me, I very much have jumped in and out, in and out. Destiny 1 being the exception, but I think Destiny 1 was more of like contextually, like it was the best game of the year at the time, and it was the newest game of the year. So like it was the hype.
Yeah.
Where I think Destiny 2 was the hype in the beginning, and then it kind of died off. But you guys have kept playing. So what keeps y'all in there? What in the story has kept y'all in play?
I mean, for me personally, I don't really keep up with the story. Even from D1, I would skip the cutscenes and just get straight into the action with the gun gameplay.
Yep.
And that's kind of what keeps me coming back. I loved Halo. Bungie made Halo back in the day, and now this was the first, I guess, IP that Bungie put out before or after Halo. And so being able to go back and just feel that same experience again with like a rocket launcher, a shotgun, a sniper. It feels like what I'm used to playing back in the day. And so that's what I enjoy with it.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Carter. Like the story itself is not what keeps me invested. I think the biggest thing that Destiny has going for it is just at a core level, the gameplay is really fun. Like keeps a lot of the same, base functionality that Halo games that everybody loved so much had and got popular with, really revolutionizing the first person shooter on console. But there is, at a high level, the story has been generally interesting. There's been some DLCs that have fallen flat story-wise, like Lightfall, for example, really was a dud story-wise. The new place, the new city or world, planet, I guess is the right word. We got there eventually. That it was a cool location, but the story was pretty lame. And
what was the new location? I don't even remember.
Neomuna is the name of it. It's kind of like a cyberpunk, like neon. It has a cool like design philosophy, but as a planet, it wasn't really set up well, just like logistically. Yeah. But the story, I mean, to be completely honest, the story for all the other DLCs except for this one is not what pulled me in. Like Final Shape, everybody was saying the story was great, like it concluded really well. It's kind of the end game, the final chapter, and so of at least the current arc. And so that invested me to check it out more so than any other DLCs. But to be completely honest, kind of what Carter said, the story is not what pulls me in or has kept me in over the years.
I did my little review thing for Destiny 2 not too long ago, and the story is honestly, I think, what kills it, because like this DLC, without giving spoilers away, which it's still relatively new, we won't do spoilers on this. In future episodes,
okay.
Fair warning. Actually, you know what? Screw it. Fair warning. This is your spoiler warning for the entire series. We're gonna drop spoilers at all times. Clyde 6 died years ago.
Cade
6.
Yeah. He died years ago, and he comes back into this one, and it's supposed to be this emotional beat. But for players like me who have jumped in and out, I understand. Oh, hey, that's supposed to be emotional, but I just don't care. Okay. And I think that's where, like, you brought up like Bungie and Halo, and the Halo story mattered because like there wasn't so much complexity. It was one guy, you pushed forward, and so all the emotional beats hit, no matter how long it had been in between games. Whereas this one, the in between DLCs, I just don't care. I don't know what's going on. No. I still like you just have no concept of like the big story, and it's been years since Cade 6 has died.
Yep. And
he just magically shows back up. He's part of the light, and he's not part of the light, and then he becomes part of the light. It just becomes very confusing. So
my rebuttal to that would be that Destiny and Halo have very different design philosophies, just games. Where Halo, it's a great campaign with great gameplay that also happened to have a really great multiplayer that took off as you got more games, versus Destiny to me feels more like an MMO that also has a campaign that can get newer players kind of eased into the gameplay loop without overwhelming with all the MMO aspects. But I totally agree. Like I don't think anybody is gonna. I'm sure there's some super big lore heads who would say that the Destiny 2 and Destiny 1 storylines are really great and well fleshed out. But I don't think most people playing that game are gonna make that argument.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I remember always having to find those little lore beats things, and I was just like, this is. I don't want to read the game.
Yeah.
So
I've never been that type of gamer either. Like Fallout, even like the Souls-like games. I know they have a ton of, what's the term? It's like not background storytelling.
The lore.
Yeah,
The
lore.
lore,
Yeah, exactly. I've never been a big lore reader to have the story told to me. I like it being told to me.
yeah. So we've talked about gameplay. So let's just go and move into that. What is it about the gameplay that is so good that you guys keep going back to it?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, for me personally, it's the ability to, you feel like the ultimate guardian, that you have your super, you have your abilities, there's different builds that you're able to make. And so if you get bored of playing, and with them just changing up, doing the refresh every Tuesday, they're keeping things fresh. And so you don't feel like you're doing the same thing over and over again. And especially for me, like I don't have all the time in the world to go play, so I can hop on a couple of nights a week and then a couple of days go by, and then, hey, the weekly reset comes and I'm able just to hop right back in. And so, yeah, I love the gun gameplay. I think it's a lot of fun, but that's what keeps me coming back.
Yeah. Kind of brings up a good point as far as like what the draw is to consistently play, because there is a good drip feed of content that comes out weekly. There is a big controversy around the Destiny community as far as how the philosophy is changing from Bungie, as far as their approach has been yearly expansions or year and a half long expansions that are big, and then they kind of drip feed seasonal content. That is changing, and we can talk a bit about that later. But going back to the question as far as what is so fun about the gameplay, I think it's a really interesting blend of, people have made the comparison of calling it like an MMO light, where it's not a full-on MMORPG like World of Warcraft or Final Fantasy 14, where there's 12 plus classes. All those classes have subclass builds, 20 plus skills per each build, and a bunch of different armor. That is a ton to digest, which I've always been somewhat interested in the MMO concept. Like I played WoW when I was in high school. I got into Guild Wars in college and Final Fantasy 14 as well. Yeah.
Little RuneScape.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
RuneScape as well.
I could never get into that game.
Dude, I think it must have just been a time.
Yeah, it came out.
It was a phase.
It was a phase.
It definitely got big. Like right, I was Call of Duty was getting big, and so for me and my friend group, Call of Duty and Halo was where it was at.
Yeah.
So and that's when I think that's like the start of the console wars too.
Similar,
so,
yeah.
That's fair. Yeah.
Back when single player games were abundant,
Yes. Yeah.
So
yeah. And then really, I mean, not to go too much on a tangent, but
we can.
Other than WoW, there wasn't really like a free alternative
Yeah.
for that concept
Well,
of
I
like
mean,
a super big online.
Even WoW wasn't free.
Yeah, that's
$15
what I'm
yeah.
saying. Like, I had friends who played WoW, like one friend, but his parents paid the 15-month membership, and my parents were like, no.
That is exactly how it went for me.
RuneScape is what we went with.
Yep. I do like the MMO light term though for
Yes.
Destiny. I haven't heard that before. I think that's a good description.
I think that's a good description. My issue with that is there is no explanation to how to do anything. And specifically, the other night were playing with your
David.
friend,
Yeah.
David, and I picked up my Warlock, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to do something with my Guardian or my Ghost to level him up. Like there's no explanation to that at all. Like if you hadn't told me the first time we played, I still would never have leveled up because there's no explanation on what you're supposed to do. Like the light levels they give you an explanation for, but again, you're telling me that it doesn't really matter. And I think that's where you lose me as someone. I'm like, cool, I like the idea of an MMO, but we're in a world where everybody is the same character now. It doesn't matter if you're a warlock, a hunter, or a titan. You're all running prismatic. You're all running the same. Every hunter is the same. There's no one different because the meta's the meta, and everybody's got the sun shot, and everybody's looking for the same weapons, and so like there's no diversity in the game. Everybody's running for the same thing, and like we were talking about the other night, you're playing the same dungeons for one weapon.
Yes. Well, for the chance of it. So we can put a pin on the
See, but that's
the point about
gameplay,
different
so.
classes and like different builds, because I do disagree with that. I do think there's a lot
Again,
of like
I'm a tangential player, not a diehard player. So.
yeah. But I will give you, there is some merit to what you said as far as like the overwhelming lack of direction and assistance from just a player who's not trying to seek information outside of the game, because that is true. Like there's some quests, like me and Carter did a quest to get an exotic weapon called the Whisper of the Worm, which is like a really good exotic sniper. Getting the sniper itself is no problem. Like you can do that without any type of outside assistance, but getting the what Destiny calls the catalyst, which is essentially like the a little boost to a weapon that makes it from a great weapon to an even better weapon. I think it would be nearly impossible to find that out without using like outside assistance of like a video guide or a written guide. Obviously, the people who write those guides have to find it out themselves. So it is possible. It just takes a ton of persistence and looking through every nook and cranny to kind of figure that out. But to kind of reel it back to the original point of like it being a rough first impression, the new light, which is what Destiny refers to as like the new player experience, it's terrible. And I'm willing to bet that changes drastically over the next 2 years as Destiny kind of shifts its philosophy from yearly expansion, that they're retaining their main player base, to trying to just keep it more consistent drip feed and bring in new players. That has to change, because the new player experience is just, you get thrown so much at you. You get information on things that don't really matter that much, and then things that you feel like should matter more, you don't get the information you want on that. And you really you have to have outside assistance, whether it's like YouTube videos, YouTube guides, or whatever it is, to really dive into fully experience, what all the end game players are experiencing, which is a problem, needing to fully rely on YouTube videos. But I would say that most MMOs are that way. Like when I play the new Final Fantasy expansion, I'll do the whole campaign without needing any type of assistance, because it's all quest driven. I have quest markers for what's the next thing to do. But as soon as the campaign expansion ends, and I'm wanting to do raids or find, perfect my build, I need to go to YouTube videos to figure that out.
For end game content, I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, but not for, hey, this is how you level your character content. I feel like Destiny, the major like control of the game of Destiny now is the equivalent of trying to do the Easter egg hunt and the original Call of Duty Zombies. You have no idea. You're just stumbling around trying to figure it out, and they're like, "Oh, hey, I heard a noise. Was I right?"
Yeah.
So like it's just like for me, I'm like I don't know what I'm doing, and let alone like, just some of the characters. Can we talk about the Warlock jump? Is awful.
It is terrible.
It's so bad.
It's
just to
not
do
fun.
a basic jump, like hey, just give me a double jump and then let me glide, not like a jump glide.
Yeah.
Just because like some of like the
I think
the first storyline, like
Yeah.
you have to like pre-plan your jump to glide just enough to make it.
Look, the Warlock is so powerful, it has to have a downfall.
Exactly.
And it's the jump. And that I honestly think that's what Bungie was thinking with it, because there's a ton of Warlock players. The only reason I'm not playing it is because everyone I play with, I feel like, is a Warlock.
Hunter was the hotness.
Right now, Hunter is the hotness. Yeah. But
like you can just spam the beatdown button and get your health back.
yeah,
That's one of the builds I'm going.
So-
It's a lot of fun.
there's so many fun builds.
Yeah. And see, and that's what I think. Like for players that aren't doing end game content, I think there is a diversity in that build. Moving on to that build conversation. Like, oh, there's a lot of things you can do, but I'm a new player coming in to this world, and I'm like, oh, I want to at least contribute. So I feel like I'm forced into the meta build. And for context, for anybody listening, meta is the like best of the best. So like you have meta guns in Call of Duty, you have meta builds in Destiny or WoW or whatever RPG it is. Like it's because of either bad coding or good coding, it is the best of what's out there. So like me and my Hunter build, like you told me, oh, you need to do this, this, and this, because that's where you're gearing me towards in-game content, and that's where I feel like as a new player, I have to do that, or I'm not a viable conversation piece.
Yeah. So I will say the theory crafting world of Destiny, and what I mean by that is like a new weapon gets leaked, or there's a YouTuber who says, hey, this weapon creates, this type of explosion. There's this exotic weapon that enhances the explosion damage for that type of element. How would this work? Me combining these together and creating a build based around that setup. There is a ton of experimentation that happens that I think the theory crafting side of Destiny is really awesome. Even though there is like meta builds that most people will strive for at first, after completing a campaign, like so with the final shape, the prismatic subclass is the new one. So everybody obviously wants to play the prismatic subclass, and there's easy ones that are quote unquote meta. There's still a ton of different options like old meta builds that are still viable. Like you can still go a strand build with the warlock if you get a specific exotic that makes it really strong. So what you see, I think,
if you get a specific exotic,
but that's the fun
grind.
loop, or for some people I could see it being frustrating, but like the raid in itself is fun, doing the different encounters. There's a great sense of fulfillment when you beat something that's really challenging, and it takes a lot of technical skill as well as just mental skill to figure out the specific encounter mechanics. But when you get that exotic, the dopamine release is when you have this build that you're so close to getting and you finally get that exotic weapon. To me, I love that aspect of it because there's so much content that you can play in Destiny. Like I don't think the content amount is an issue. When you really focus in on, hey, I want this weapon for this build. I know I just need to get it from this raid. It kind of gives you a goal each week. So I'm going to do this raid once a week for this character, and hopefully I can get this exotic, which when it happens, it's a great feeling.
What about multiplayer or the Crucible?
Yeah.
Speaking that raid life is your life.
Yeah.
Do you spend a lot of time in the Crucible, or do you play Crucible at all? Does it matter for the game? Because it used to be that's where you got a lot of your better exotics were from the Crucible. Now, granted, that was like Destiny 1, the beginning of Destiny 2. It's been a long time since that was the case, and I've heard that the Crucible kind of died storyline-wise for some reason. Like they killed somebody off. I don't know. But what's the multiplayer like these days?
So, I mean, multiplayer is thriving. I would say most Destiny players kind of fall into a category of PvE or PvP focused players, what they get the most enjoyment out of. So there's end game content, quote unquote, for both of those categories. So for like
Trials of Osiris?
yes, exactly. So Trials of Osiris is really kind of the end game for PvP players where it's very sweaty. Those guys have incredible builds. You can't just go in there as a casual. You're going to get cooked.
Does your power level still matter in
No.
trials? Okay.
Yeah, power level doesn't matter to my understanding. I'm pretty sure. And PvP doesn't matter. But what matters is assault rifle that is great in PvE could totally suck in PvP. Example of that is a great perk that PvE players use is called Volt Shot, which Volt Shot essentially when you kill one enemy and then you shoot another enemy after you kill them and you reload, it'll electrocute every enemy around it. Well, you could, think about that in PvE. That's kind of easy to do. You kill a really weak guy and then you shoot another guy, and then if there's a big mob, it electrocutes everybody around them. Versus PvP, it takes a lot of effort to kill one guy, and then after that kill, you got to reload and then try and shoot another guy while that timer of that perk goes off. So all I have to say is that's why people kind of categorize into those two buckets, because you really got to hone in on, hey, I want to be great at PvP, so I'm really going to grind and try and get these good weapons that are good for PvP, create a build around it. You can still play the casual game modes in PvP, like just as a normal player. Like that's what I do. Like I'll play Control here and there if there's like a specific mission for the seasonal quest line. But I mainly focus on PvE content because that's just where I think it's most fun. I also think balancing is a pretty big issue on the PvP side. That is a much harder, thing to balance versus on the PvE side, which, if you're really strong in PvE, it's not the end of the world. Like they just kind of do some small adjustments versus PvP. It ruins everybody's experience.
I will say that you need armor setup for PvP, armor weapons for PvP, and armor weapons for PvE is what ruined endgame content for me for most RPG or MMOs. WoW specifically, like because a while doing queuing for battlegrounds and doing the PvP was a great way to level up. And then they set it up so that way you can queue for dungeons, and so you no longer need to do that. But now, like, you're having to bounce, change armors, and they've made it easier. Not that I haven't played WoW in a long time, but like they've definitely made it easier. We can do like a little armor swap and weapon swap, and so, but like having to carry all that, and while you're still trying to run around the area, the quest line, and level up, like that was I think that's what kept me in WoW, was that I could pop in and do something while leveling up, and so like, you had to. It was just fun, and then once you get to the top, you're like, oh, I have to maintain 2 sets. Now I'm out. Like, and I think, but also just like most of these games, like Destiny, and I would say almost every MMO, like I'm only playing to play with my friends in the end. Because like the WoW storyline is what they're almost. Let's see. I started playing WoW with my oldest brother in 2006, 2007. And so that was probably like right after it came out, right? Is that what you're looking up?
I was trying to look up the most recent expansion. Or the
I
one
think there's one coming out like right now.
Yeah.
So when did WoW?
I want to say like 2001.
2004.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe that's about right, because we moved to Colorado and I was playing in the basement. So yeah, that'd be about right.
I was 9.
Oh, we could talk. We could take a little tangent for this. Sam is a Gen Zer over there.
Well, first of the Gen Z. So I'm 96. I just meet the cutoff.
Yeah. And then the Carter and I are millennials.
Yeah.
Did you just groan?
No, so I go, yep. I guess it did kind of sound like a grunt. Oh.
But yeah. So okay. So I mean, like, I guess it's just like any other MMO. I think that probably is where I think more MMOs are going to better serve people like me who bounce in and out, are the PC MMOs. Destiny having to cater to console and PC means that they're limited to the gameplay like ability, where like we can look at Elder Scrolls. They've modified their PC players to only having 1, 2, and 3 for like abilities, just like X, Y, and B, or the top 3 buttons. So that way you're not having PC players be so much more capable than console players. So it's the same number of buttons. And I think that's really cool. Like if WoW were to do something, they'd have to do something like that, but WoW will never do that.
That's like what Diablo is. Diablo, you basically fill your keys with the same number of buttons on the controller. So,
but are we calling Diablo an MMO?
I'd say so.
The newer ones, probably. Yeah, I guess.
Oh, yeah, definitely not the older ones.
No, not 3. Definitely was 4. The new one that just came out. Yeah,
but I don't remember there ever being any need for me to group up with anyone. But again, I like the dungeon.
In Diablo.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like that's what made see like MMOs. Like I think there was an MMO back in the day. We're going on a hard tangent on MMOs apparently. There was an MMO back in the day. It wasn't Warhammer. It was something. But they had community events, which you do get in Destiny. Like these events that are happening in the area.
That's what we're going through.
And
public events.
Yeah, public events. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And like there were like these little mini raids. And that was such a cool change because it forced people to come together rather than this the WoW mentality of, oh, hey, I see someone out there, I'm gonna kill them. So like that PvP mentality in the open world. And so like that's
I know that happened in Guild Wars. I don't know if that's the first game that happened in, but the fact that you bring that up, like I remember the first time I experienced that, it wasn't Guild Wars, but it is kind of a game changer. It's crazy that it took so long to happen, but everyone's kind of in their me mentality. And then they see this big boss spawn in the middle of the map, and you just see hundreds of people kind of turn their attention from what they were doing to kind of kill this one thing. It is a pretty cool effect.
before we move into the rapid fire questions, since we're talking about MMOs and that's really what we're going with right here, do you think that some of the more popular games, like we've seen Call of Duty move into the Battle Royale space, Halo, the newest one, was its first open world game. Do you think Halo could, or another big game we'll call Elden Ring, do you think those games could become MMOs?
Well, just on the Battle Royale point, I was disappointed that the new Halo did not have a Battle Royale. That was something that 343 kind of tempted and we thought was going to come out, and then it didn't come out. But
it was for sure being developed.
I mean, I thought that would have been a game changer. And then even just the co-op multiplayer, like that was disappointing, or the co-op campaign and being able to go do that. So
didn't they originally say it was supposed to be split screen, and
they
then
did,
it ended up not being split screen?
There's a great video of a there's a great video of a guy basically popping into the high CEO and just saying, the only reason you guys did not make it split screen was so that way everyone has to go buy the game, and you're just robbing the community of the content that we love and what all the Halo fans grew up playing. Was me and my twin able to sit there and pop it up and just go beat the campaign together.
So
it was so fun.
Halo 3. Sport Hog.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of that, the three of us need to do Master Chief Collection.
I'm down.
Oh, I would be down.
Yeah.
I've really been wanting to replay Reach.
Okay.
Oh, Reach is so
good.
I love Reach.
Is that included in the Master Chief Collection now?
It is, yeah.
Is it? Okay.
I'm pretty sure. I know I have it. I don't think I paid extra for it.
Okay.
And I've dabbled into it. But, I mean, to your question, Garrett, as far as, like, is the future MMO? I don't know. I don't know if I think that's the case. I definitely think the future is live service based. Whether that's just every game having a battle pass or every game trying to drip feed content. I think what we're seeing over the past few years is that is a very risky approach to game design, because there's a lot of players who, well, let me backtrack a little bit. You can't play every live service game. And in fact, the live service game that you love probably is taking up majority of your time. So Garrett plays a ton of Call of Duty. Right now, that is a live service model. They have the new battle passes. Agreed. They have the new updated Warzone maps.
And all the cheaters that go with it.
All the cheaters. Oh my gosh, that's got to be another conversation for a different episode. But Gary, you're going to have a really hard time if you're trying to close out the battle pass and you're trying to keep up to date with the new updates in Call of Duty, as well as playing a WoW and playing a Destiny.
Yeah, but I think the battle pass system, I don't think anyone cares about the battle pass system.
Really? Are you saying in general or just Call of Duty?
In Call of Duty, especially not. But I don't think...
I think in general they do.
I think the younger community does. I hate the battle pass.
Oh yeah, I don't care either way. I'm like, all right, cool. You want
my
to make
reason
money that way? That's
with
fine.
not liking it is you're just not giving content out to the players that people obviously developed on, and it's stuff for the game, and you're just going to make the community pay for it. I miss the days of a game was made, you paid $60 for it, and you got everything. And then there may be a DLC come out. Those days are gone, and that's just what disappoints me.
Well, while I do agree with that, I understand, like, monopoly and
exactly, yeah,
capitalism,
exactly,
America.
We're consumers, baby.
I
will pay for it.
I understand that, but like the battle pass, I don't want to complete the battle pass. I don't care.
I do. Like
Destiny,
I was the kid who I had to have recon armor in Halo 3.
But those were but you're talking about Halo 3. That's not the same.
It's the same mental achievement
it's
of
because
I have to grind really hard.
But you had to grind for individual pieces and it looked cool, but it was playing a game that you enjoyed playing. Whereas the battle pass, all you're doing is getting a full cosmetic that's not necessarily that good or a new weapon. That's it. And you don't
Okay. So I think we need to kind of split this conversation, because Call of Duty's battle pass is a little different than most battle passes, where Call of Duty gives you a weapon.
Doesn't Destiny have a battle pass?
It does.
It does.
Yeah. But
they give you a bunch of resources.
Yeah.
Theirs is nice. For new players,
yeah.
new players get the Destiny battle pass.
if you're playing Destiny, you need that battle pass.
As I mentioned, we're not sponsored by anybody.
No, we're not.
So these opinions are our own.
Yes.
But
But
yeah.
I think it's the same mental, dopamine release as far as in Halo. You're right. There wasn't a time loop attached to it. It's it's still a cosmetic recon armor, and it's if you have it, you worked your ass off, and everybody who sees it, it's like, this is an awesome set. I want that.
I think that is where the battle pass should be done. A ever continual. You never replace what's there. But it gives you cosmetics.
But you keep reaching for it.
You keep.
That's
and,
how Reach was.
and
Halo,
and it's all cosmetic based. Like you shouldn't get like. It shouldn't be like, oh, this is how you get like a resource for Destiny 2
Yes.
for upgrades. That's sure, I'm cool with that. But like Call of Duty's model where you're getting new weapons, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Like the weapons should just be given to you, or have like you can unlock it by
doing a
killing
challenge
10 people with a marksman rifle or whatever. Like that to me. But I think the battle pass in general should just be cosmetic. There should be no new blueprints or nothing that makes the one player who is not to bring politics into this, but someone who is more affluent and can pay to just buy the battle pass versus someone who's just using the free tier, or someone who's more frugal and uses the free tier. You should not get a bonus just because you paid for it.
Right. We don't like
Unless
pay to
it's
win.
cosmetic.
Right.
Like cosmetic, who cares?
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
since we
I
are
mean-
talking about the future of this game, I want to show y'all this article.
Probably the same one I read this morning.
Destiny 2, of course, now it doesn't want to.
yikes.
There it goes. Destiny 2 spinoffs have been canceled, and there is no Destiny 3
For now.
as of August
Thank you for
2nd,
adding that
2024.
for now.
I read a similar article.
Okay.
So this article talks that they're saying for now, but the term that the studio is using is indefinitely,
Definitely, yeah.
which is not the same. Like that's the argument of like John Wick 5. John Wick 5 is in, it may come out, no. Indefinite means that they have no plans, they've scrapped it, and that it's been developed, but it's on the back burner.
So here's why I will say this for now is more important for Destiny versus other games is that Bungie is notorious for making a terrible decision.
Yep.
The community freaks out, and then they backtrack and they change their mind on it.
But this isn't Destiny. Destiny got bought.
Or Bungie. No,
But-
this is Bungie's
No,
decision.
this is not Bungie's decision. This is who bought Bungie? Sony?
Sony, but it is.
Sony.
Bungie's
This is
decision.
Sony's decision as part of their layoff program. Because they've been laying off so many people, most of them have come from Bungie. And that is
Right.
why Bungie has canceled these, because they no longer have the developmental staff. That's what this article talks about. The article and the whiskey and all that will be in the show notes.
Does it say that this decision was from
Sony.
I don't.
That's
I haven't read that.
That is what keyed me into this article, and when we were playing the other night, I was like, "Have these two not seen this article at all?" So
Where does it say that? Because from my understanding, Bungie has a lot of autonomy with their decisions as far as the future on Destiny.
Yeah, I'd have to go look through it again, but
They're wanting to transition from what I've read. They're wanting to transition a bit from their current model of Destiny because they're really focusing on Marathon, kind of being their next big cash cow. From what I know of Bungie, the new Bungie, they're pretty greedy, and it's not really Sony. Like this changes in like a philosophy pushed down from Sony. This is something that probably Bungie would have still made the same decision regardless of the acquisition.
fair enough.
The heads at Bungie, like this is another thing they're under a ton of heat right now for is, I don't know if it's the CEO or someone in a C-suite position, Pete something, you know his last name? But, well, he's under a ton of flack right now for, they just let off a ton of employees.
Yep.
And it just was publicly announced that he bought like a new exotic car that was like worth over $1 million.
I think he's bought 25 cars.
He's
in the
bought
last,
a ton.
and- yeah.
Yes.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. But I mean, we can fact check that later. I don't want to take too much time, but I do think this is a Bungie driven decision just to kind of like we talked about at the beginning of the episode. The biggest issue that Destiny has right now is the new player experience and getting new players in. Like it is just not a fun experience. You have to say, I really want to be in this world. I'm going to subscribe to 10 YouTubers. I'm going to watch these YouTubers in my free time, and then I'm going to play. Right. A lot of people aren't going to do that. That's why.
That's why I play with Sam. He
Yes.
helps me
Or
get
you
That's
get
why I
a
play with
shirt
you
out of
and
it.
Sam, because
Exactly.
it keeps me involved. And
Yes.
But But every time I see Sam, he's in a raid. I'm like, all right, well, I can't join that.
I know, and that is another big problem because it's like I want to raid with you guys, but it took me 5 hours of YouTube videos and then 5 hours of frustratingly doing it. That it's a very high barrier to entry, but once you do it,
And
so
then
satisfying.
I will say on your, just in comments to the article, because I read a similar article this morning, just in after you making that comment the other night, Garrett, of, I'm like, there's something out there. I need to go do a little homework.
Yeah. The fact you're like, I'm so excited for Destiny 3. It'll come out next year. I was like, oh no.
And then after reading and I guess for me, Destiny 2 is in such a good place right now as far as content, because the only reason I stopped playing Destiny 1 was because of content. And that was whenever I guess the game first came out. You know, you grinded. I was super pumped. Probably 2 months later, all right, there's not much to do anymore. I'm just going to shelf this for a while, and then got back into it whenever the Taken King came out, and then played it a ton. Well, then Destiny's whole idea was a 10-year model, and then I felt like Taken King, we were at a great spot. What do? They announced Destiny 2.
Yeah.
I'm okay if they want to keep just working on D2, the experience for like PvP, for PvE, and then just hold off on D3. If it has to be forever, that's okay.
Yeah.
So to clarify, Bloomberg reported that Sony canceled the Payback, which was their spin-off game.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
yes.
that is the portion
And that
that's
I
out.
believe.
And it's because they're focusing on Marathon for 2025,
Right.
which is an extraction shooter, which I think is a terrible idea. And this is a conversation for another day, but I think extraction shooters are too niche to hit the open market.
What's an
DMZ
example
failed.
of one?
The Division, the Dark Zone and the Division.
No, see, I would say Tarkov is probably the biggest example of an extraction shooter.
Interesting. Wow, so Marathon is fully that.
Yeah, that's it's a new extraction shooter is what this
What
article
it says.
And so, but
I'm excited still.
I would still play it, but I think it'll have high peak and then die. What was the last Bungie game that just died that you had like mobile Gundam suits?
I don't think that.
Atlas? No. Anthem.
Oh, and
Oh, that's not Bungie. That's
Yeah.
BioWare.
But that game was just awful.
But see, the gameplay was fun. It had a great concept, but I think it'll do the same thing. It'll go up and then it'll crash. Like every extraction shooter. The only people that are playing Tarkov now are the people that are diehard. DMZ is no longer available because it didn't do well.
Oh, that's what you're talking about.
Yeah, for Call of
Call of
Duty.
Duty,
And it was
yeah.
free.
Yeah.
And that's why I bring it up, because it was free and it still did not do well. Because
That
it's just
seems like a risky.
it was such
project.
it's such a niche, and they just that's where the new Zombies is it's just their extraction shooter. So
Yeah, the future of Destiny, I think that's a good thing to just kind of park on for a second. It does look a little bleak. And I think Carter brings up a good point, because right now it feels great.
it feels great. It's the best it's been since I played the Taken King.
Thinking, yeah. And I would agree. I think it's the best since then as well. Like there's a good drip feed of new content. Like you have your new rotations of Grandmasters. The raid is really fun right now. The seasonal quest line, it started off kind of weird, but it's at a good spot right now. Like it feels like there's always something new to do that is engaging. But we're kind of at a peak right now. Like we had this big payoff for this expansion that everybody's waiting for. The campaign was fun. This raid is arguably the best raid they've made. It's up there at least. It's at least in the conversation. So
I just remember Vault of Glass.
yeah, Vault of Glass is sick.
Vault of Glass was
Yeah.
It's still good. Like people still talk.
Oh
about
yeah,
that
people still play it. Yeah, it's awesome. But it'll be interesting to see in a year where Destiny is at when we don't have a new expansion. They just keep going with this seasonal model. I know we're still going to get raids and still going to get dungeons. So, I mean, I think as long as they keep doing that, like it could still have legs and it can still be consistently fun, but it's going to be weird to see without a big expansion to get a new wave of players in.
Okay. Well, to wrap this up, we're gonna do some rapid fire questions.
Ooh.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
No, you don't have to look at the screen.
Okay,
You just,
okay.
Off the top of your head, quick answers. What's your favorite class?
Hunter.
Titan, unfortunately.
If you had to be a class, which one would you be? Like
Warlock. You can, dude, the ability to
I'd probably say
conjure
Warlock. Yeah, you
spells
feel
and
like
stuff.
Human
the
Torch.
ability to what?
Conjure spells,
Yeah.
like teleport.
Okay.
I mean, come on. that'd
If
be
you could have
incredible.
one power from the game, what would it be?
Dude,
That's a good
I can't
question.
rapid fire this. I gotta think about this. one power. So does this
Yeah,
include
one
like
power.
supers?
Yeah, sure. We'll call it supers, or because like in my mind, like what is it? The Titan throws those little like fiery hammers.
Yeah.
That'd be dope.
one-
Or the super punch that they got. The Superman punch.
I'd probably just do like blink from the warlock. It's a
Teleport?
super
Be able
lame. Yeah, it's like thunderstorm. When am I realistically gonna call down
mean,
lightning and
that's fair.
shoot it at people?
Yo, man,
Be a little
if I could be
Nightcrawler.
Thor, come on.
I mean, it would be pretty sick. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
You would definitely get arrested and interrogated by the
the void-
FBI.
the-
but
No, they couldn't touch me. I have that power. It'd be like Man of Steel movie. Like, what are you gonna do? Crack.
I think the Nova Bomb from the Warlock would be pretty fun.
Okay.
when would you use the Nova Bomb, Carter?
Whenever I wanted to.
He and I would be superheroes.
There's a spider in the backyard.
Destroy the dog poop in the backyard. All right. What's your favorite location in the game?
That's a good question.
That is a good question.
I'll say mine. Mine's the moon because it was so. For it being in Destiny 1, Destiny 2, it was so well designed that I loved going back to the moon.
Yeah.
Like it was still so cool. Early game, and it still sits with me to this day.
Just a quick side note: the art design in Destiny is some of the best in games.
Agreed.
I will say.
Yes.
Agreed.
The
They
world's beautiful.
Yeah.
The worlds are so well done, so diverse, especially for the idea of like, oh, you're on Venus, which is an uninhabitable planet.
Yeah.
It's full of gas, as far but they gave
They
it
make it cool.
vegetation.
They did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would say just from like an aesthetic standpoint, Neomuna I think looks the coolest just because I love
Never saw it,
Cyberpunk.
so I couldn't-
I love that stuff, but I think it kind of sucks to travel around like from a gameplay standpoint.
Yeah. I was going to say the moon, but to change things up, I'll go the Pale Heart, the new location.
Nice. Yeah, Pale Heart is really
the
cool.
Pale
Pale Heart's
Heart.
cool.
Yeah.
Who's the most annoying character in Destiny?
Oh gosh, where to start? There's a ton. I think Crow, like he's grown on me with the Final Shape expansion. Like he has a good redemption arc, but he's just kind of like edgy, like
He's
opposition
a moody
to
teenager.
opposite.
He is, yeah.
Yeah, he's a little annoying.
All right, who's the most pointless? Actually,
No, I would agree with that.
Crow.
yeah,
Yeah.
Crow's
Yeah.
mine as well.
Yeah.
Pointless character. And I'm gonna take a hot take on this one. In the new DLC, Cade 6 is the most pointless character.
Okay, I'm
Crow,
could not disagree harder,
Crow
but I won't
could have
disagree
filled the
because
same
it's,
portion and done the exact same thing because he's the hunter guardian.
Yeah,
Crow could have been it could have been Crow, and you already have the emotional beats. Like Cade 6 is only brought back because
did you do the 12-man mission?
nope.
Okay,
Of course not, man.
You didn't
Wait,
do
wait,
the
no, I lied. Yeah, I did.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say that's
yeah.
the campaign. I thought.
Yeah.
You said
Bro.
you finished it.
But again,
I won't
Crow,
spoil for this
but
call, but
You
if
can
Cade,
spoil it. That's
okay,
fine.
big spoilers right here. If you care for that stuff, if Cade wasn't here, you'd be dead. Your ghost is dead.
Right.
But
You
Crow
never come
could have
back.
filled the same spot.
No.
From a nostalgia standpoint, from playing like
that's
D1,
my point.
it
They
felt
brought
better.
Nathan Fillion back just for this one thing to
I'm
bring
okay with
people
that.
back
Worth
to the
it.
game.
Worth it.
I'm a fan.
I love
Service
Nathan
me.
Fillion.
I am a fan. Service
If
me.
there's ever a dude I want to bring onto the show, it's Nathan Fillion because he's been in so many like iconic
I love him.
like nerdy things.
Yeah. I mean,
that-
it's a tired out saying, but I don't care if it's fan service. I'm a fan service. me.
I like
And was service.
I love the idea of fan service, but
Yeah.
for someone like me, I don't even remember when he died. It was like the beginning of Destiny 2.
You weren't playing. It was in Forsaken. The Forsaken.
No, I
DLC.
played.
You did?
Forsaken.
Okay,
Yeah,
well-
I've jumped back in. Usually with
Yeah.
DLCs, I'm like,
Okay.
oh, let's see if I can get back into this. Nope.
Yeah.
But like that's what I'm saying. So like, there's so much stuff. Like I just don't care.
Yeah.
It, like that emotional beat is just lost on me. So most pointless character, most disappointing change to the game.
That's a good question.
I would say originally when D2 came out, they introduced the new special ammo that you could have in your primary spot or like the energy slot. That was a big change that I did not enjoy.
Yeah.
Now that I'm back into it, I enjoy it more, but that was something I was disappointed in at first.
Yeah, that was definitely a big adjustment. I mean, it's still not totally confirmed, but the fact that there is no new big expansions like there is the Final Shape, Witch Queen, that is a huge disappointment for me. And it definitely concerns me for the long-term success of Destiny. I'm still, having a great time with it, so I'll stay positive. But that is does not seem like a great decision, in my opinion.
For me, it was the ability to change your class willy-nilly.
What? That's the best part.
No, it means that you don't have. There's no pre-planning. You just jump into like, oh, I'll change to this class because this is what works. And
end game content that changes. You have to lock in.
Yeah, but there's no you're not thinking about it. Like for someone who's like everybody's like, oh, the end game matters. If that kind of structural content, where you need to think about things ahead of time, makes the end game content harder for people to jump into because I forgot to lock it in. Where it's if it's just common practice. It also takes away from me as someone who enjoys the RPG element, takes away the RPG element because it doesn't matter anymore. You can just change your stuff all willy nilly.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, the content you're doing right now, you could play with
anything,
and it'd be fine with it. You do have that muscle memory built in once you start doing in-game content. Because I know when we lock in for this Grandmaster Nightfall, my build better be incredible, or I'm getting cooked.
Yep.
So that comes later, but I get your point.
Yeah. All right. Well, this has been Epic Screen Time, and we talked about Destiny today and MMOs. So thank you for if you ever do listen to this. And as a kind of a future episode thing, we've talked about Game of Thrones, the three of us and our wives. My wife has never watched Game of Thrones, and y'all know that. However, after dinner on Friday, my wife's like, all right, I've got to watch Game of Thrones, so I know what the hell y'all are talking about. So we have started Game of Thrones.
Go.
So the episode that we're going to bring the wives in on is going to be our Game of Thrones episode after my wife finishes the series.
Okay.
And we're going to discuss Game of Thrones. It will be a long episode, but we will discuss Game of Thrones, and we'll probably wait to do House of the Dragon until the series is over, especially since it's only 4 seasons.
Yep.
That'll give my wife time to watch Game of Thrones.
Well, I only finished season 5 of Game of Thrones, so I have some homework too.
So you'll have 8, 16. You have like 20 episodes to watch, 22.
I may go back and rewatch it.
Really?
Yeah,
So-
a little refresher.
And the next one, we're going to talk about Star Wars, especially since D23 just wrapped up. So Skeleton Crew was announced. Some of the other things.
When does Outlaws release?
The end of this
Outlaws
month.
is the end of this month. The day this episode goes live is the day that Outlaws is released.
I'll play it. I'll play
I'll
Outlaws.
play it.
I don't know if we'll talk about Outlaws, mainly because I know y'all haven't pre-ordered it.
I'll still buy it.
Yeah.
I'll probably
I mean, if it has, so just to clear the air, if it's getting like 5s across the board, I'm not buying it. But if it's like a 7, I'll buy it.
same.
Yeah. I was thinking we would talk about the movies specifically next time, just so that it's it narrows the field of our scope. Like, we'll probably leak into other things, but the movies in particular. But yeah. So thank y'all for coming over, and we'll do the next one. We'll do it at night so we can actually have a real drink while we talk. So
Sounds
all right,
good.
have a good one, y'all.
How was the lake?
It was a blast. We're exhausted. Kayla,
Really?
she let me sleep until 8:40 this morning, and I was like, I love you, thank you.
Why can you not usually sleep in the alleys? Because of Canyon?
Canyon's up at 7, and it's like we got to be taking them on a walk within 15 minutes or go play. Yeah.
Play outside? Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah. At first, I thought it was like a different version of Kratos, and I was like, ooh, that's
I thought about doing Kratos,
Kratos would be a good
he's people still associate Kratos with being Greek, so and he doesn't have
you want the more Viking.
True.
Yeah.
True.
We are Epic Screen Time _pod on Instagram and YouTube,
Nice.
and Epic Screen Time on Twitter.
Okay.
Dang.
So yeah, this episode will go live on the 30th. That gives me time to put together a site and figure out where to do that. But yeah,
Cool.
so
It's official.
speaking of that, we should take a picture.
Let's do
We
it.
should.
So there we go.
Nice.
Cool. Well, thanks, y'all.
That is
It's
the
history in the making.
What?
Is that history in the making?
Yeah.
Kaylee was laying. She went and got back in bed and was laying with Canyon, and I
Yeah.
just walked up to her and said, "This is about to be the first day of the rest of our lives." She was like, "Shut up." I was like, "Okay, I'm heading over."